It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. It has been a long time since we posted, so I have a lot of energy. I'm so excited to be driving the bus here once again. That's kind of like what it feels like. I'm kind of driving the gang, the empowered harmonizers, through a journey towards really a happier, more fulfilling way of life. And I have been absent for a couple of days. I've just been getting a lot of recovery work done on my neck, the physical therapy, the massaging. I had to do some other diagnostics just to make sure everything is looking good, and it's looking good. So we are back and ready to go. And it really is all about a journey of acceptance. So it's been a wonderful just time to congeal some information that is very pertinent and pertaining to the topics we discuss here on the Peace and Harmony channel. So I hope you, my viewers, my beautiful viewers, you all are amazing. Please don't feel put off in my absence if I am gone for a couple of days. I have close to 2,000 videos here as a resource in store in our complete channel. So if you are kind of needing a pick-me-up, you're wondering what's up, how to make more decisions, how to get yourself out of a slump, please do go to the About tab or like the homepage here at Peace and Harmony. You can search various video types, see something that's kind of working according to the issues that you're going through, and hopefully that'll provide you the content that you're looking for to thrive. So before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to those of you who have recently emailed me, sent me pictures, I've received a ton of emails and questions like, where am I, and how are we doing, and can I book a session with you, and what's up? So we are here, and thank you so much for your for looking out for me and kind of wondering where I was. So I am avidly working behind the scenes. I'm putting together a website, a book, all sorts of things that I've been correlating and collating together. So thank you so much for your ongoing love and support. And so what we're going to do right now is a very important topic. We've got a lot to talk about. And that is really looking at the red flags of a narcissist as it affects your intimate relationship, how it affects your outlook, your perspective, and really what goes on in terms of a red flag. And what I really want to focus in on today is the lack of empathy, and the fact that the narcissist, because of this lack of empathy, because of their lack of sort of a soul that is caring or compassionate or warm and tender and affectionate and listening and receptive, and can kind of blow you away just with the amount of time or presence that they give you. They're really kind of always there for you, even when you're down and out. When you're not your best, they still look at you with love. They still look at you with respect. They still look at you with honor. They're not wondering if a hair is out of place, if something, if your nails aren't perfect, if your shirt isn't tucked in, your pants aren't ironed, they're still looking at you with love and respect, and it's unwavering, it's undying, it's unflattering. And really that's what empathy is, what it feels like in a relationship. There's a feeling of closeness even when they're away. Someone with empathy feels that they belong with you. There is no separation. There is no sense of a real sort of ego basis. And so I wanted you to use that as a contrast so you can kind of light up like sunshine on your relationship, like lighting a candle, if you will, so you can see the difference and feel the difference as a red flag as it presents from a relationship with someone who is lacking empathy. So when we are talking about the red flags, we're talking about something that, you can notice right away. And that is, the coldness, the sort of callousness, the fact that they're always trying to keep a step ahead of you. It always kind of tickles me when I see couples walking along and then the man is kind of like a couple steps ahead of the woman, like he is the boss. Well, sure, that might be functional in some relationships, but the one thing you'll notice that's actually very funny is the ego tends to be pervasive of those relationships. And ego meaning it's all about their I am, it's all about me. That's where we see this selfishness come out. And so there's this distinct separation between there's me and then there's you. And then it's like, well, there's me and then there's you. You know, it's kind of like they want to it's like a subtle put down in the way that they have referential conversation. And it's an energy you can feel about this narcissist when they're lacking in empathy. There's this heaviness. There's this sort of sting or pain when you talk to them. They might say silly things to you. They might take you for granted. This lack of empathy makes you feel divided. You feel that you're separate from them. You're always trying to run to catch up. You know, you're not really there. You know, their speed is always a little bit ahead of you. And so this is really sort of very much a red flag, which is a lack of empathy. And to me, it's more of an ego base. So when you're talking about a narcissist who has lack of empathy, they are ego based. In other words, it's all about me, my conditions, what I have. You know, it's all about kind of sort of putting on a charade. And the narcissist, because oftentimes they are beside themselves, they don't see what they're doing. So they're not going to ever kind of stop doing it. You can't really slow them down. You feel like you can't really pull the reins back on a narcissist because they just keep pressing on. They just keep plowing on. They just keep kind of pulverizing things, and their ego just tends to pulverize others. In other words, they're always up against you. So a red flag not only is this lack of empathy, this sort of very much ego-based, condition-based relationship where, you know, yes, you might have certain friends that you get together with for different activities. You might be playing bridge or going to work out or, you know, going somewhere. But you can kind of enjoy it together. You don't feel like you have to, you know, take a step back and they're always got to have to be ahead of you. They're always, you know, a couple inches taller than you. They're always kind of more ruffling up their own feathers, so to speak. So when you see them, you kind of feel this sort of pit in your stomach. You don't always feel good. You feel like there's something wrong. And it's because you feel like there's something wrong with you. That's what they're trying to insinuate in the relationship, that there's me and it's all about me. And you can come along because, well, I need someone to kind of take me for who I am and mirror me back to me. Do you notice a lot of how this is turned around, and it creates a gulf of separation where you kind of feel like you don't mean anything to them. There's no meaning in the relationship. You feel kind of sore and kind of like a sore loser even though you haven't lost anything. And this can be kind of it can get kind of to a showdown where it's, you know, you might have to go tit for tat and I for this and you for that. And the way is kind of like you always feel like, well, you have it coming. There's this feeling of impending doom that the narcissist is going to pull the trigger. They're going to pull out something which is going to astonish you. It's like they might just send you on your final farewell. You have a feeling that you can't kind of keep a footholding around them because they're sort of blasphemous about you. And if you speak, you know, ill about them, well, you've got more coming back to you. In other words, if you try to hold them responsible and accountable for how, you know, what you're missing, you're trying to express that, they're always going to kind of shun you out. And then next thing you know, that's when they're cheating and playing. When you try to keep it real, when you try to call them out, when you try to really come together. So the coming together, it just does not connect. It's really sort of a frayed, you know, connection. You can't really make the connection. And I feel that's really because of the lack of empathy, what you see neurologically. What you see is a lack of empathy. The feeling centers, the heart isn't there. So some people say it's heartless, it's fruitless, it's meaningless. When they look back on the relationship, they're lacking that sort of come together moment, that growing together moment where we can be as one and just be comfortable. And so this ego, this lack of empathy is oftentimes the cause, and really what I feel is like the separation. It's the gap between. And then it creates kind of a gap within the individual, meaning you feel that there's something missing about you, even though you're not missing anything. It's just that something has come between you, and it's their ego. That's what it is. It's their ego that is putting up a front that you feel that you can't move through. You can't get through it. You can't get to them. You can't allow them to sort of master you. So that's what, that's where their control comes in, because eventually they're just trying to take me, yet you are kind of like a sponge, and then you're just absorbing all about them, and then you feel really diminished, less than, and lacking after your experience with the relationship. So you feel de-energized, disempowered. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. It's just not fun anymore. It feels more like a job. It feels more like you're on trial. Like you have to explain yourself. You have to put up with them. And they're not really kind of allowing you space to be able to give you room to grow. And, you shouldn't always just have to tell somebody, you're putting up with me. Like, that's a horrible thing to say to somebody. This is your life. This is not their life with you in it. You belong. You have a place. And so I would like to tell you something that can help you kind of change perspective and see things clearly. And that's when you say, all that I have is mine. All that I have is mine. I want you to say that with me now. Say it one more time. All that I have is mine. And it brings you back into that center. So you need to kind of come out of their ego. It's the whole contraption. It's the whole, kit and caboodle of all their judgment, all their conditions, all their ego base. It's a very heavy energy. It's really all about, winning the prize. The narcissist treats people like they're winning a prize, and if it's sort of outgrown, or they feel that you're worn out, or they want to call you too old, you're not pretty, you're not manly, you're not functional enough for me. In other words, you're not keeping my gears spinning. It's all about me. And they really ultimately are requiring other people, controlling them to keep them happy, to keep them where they're at, which is in a high status position. And when you try to break it off like a piece of, flint, that's when you get in trouble, when you try to just be yourself. And that should not be a problem in relationships. You should not feel like you are being put up with. You should not feel like you have to tame yourself, that you always have to calm down. You always have to minimize yourself in order to appease them. That is not what growth and your human instinct is all about. This is a sign that will tell you it's a red flag that this is a narcissist and who does not have your best interests at heart. To them, it is all about the finagling. It's all about really sort of coming more about them and controlling how you come at them. In other words, they're trying to control your positioning. They're trying to control, in a dictated manner. In other words, you're trying to fit into their slots. You can't live like that. You can't be like that. You can't be happy like that. You might have adopted it. You might have adopted this sort of role in the relationship in order to accommodate them. So to accommodate means, to make yourself available for. So you're kind of making yourself very emotionally available to these people. and when they're not emotionally available to you. So that's really where the disconnect takes place, and the red flags of a narcissist is that they're not really kind of joining up with you in your own life's purpose, where your own purpose is what's calling to you. It's that little voice that's telling you something, to go do something, to go be something, to go somewhere, to become somebody, to have something real. I find that most, people who have suffered through this relationship, that's when the challenges come. When things are starting to get, at this span in the relationship, hot and heavy, we're going to be moving in together, we're going to be really having something now. I find that that's when it really falls apart, and you can't really connect with a frayed wire. They're like a frayed wire. It just doesn't have a socket. You can't put the you and them together. It just doesn't mesh. It doesn't make sense. And you might feel this going on for some period of time before it within the relationship, but yet it's very hard to do it justice, the feeling justice, because you get caught up in the bantering of keeping them happy. And it's kind of like the operating, operatus moderandi is like, if I keep them happy, a happy wife is a happy life. A happy this is a happy that. And so again, you're making external that which makes you happy. And yes, you can, other people can make you happy, and you can like spark each other up, and you're like light and fun and happiness to each other. And you're like a fun gizmo that just gets better with time. The more you interact, those are your positive hang-on relationships. Those are worth your while. Those are worth their salt. Those are worth, their must. These are the people you must have in your life. These are your must-have people, your go-to people, your true friends, who you can connect with on a less than ego basis. In other words, it's not an ego basis. It's not about, even what time it is. It's more, you're always coming from a soul level. You're not coming from an ego level. So really, and then the problem with the narcissist relationship is that oftentimes then you become sort of ego bound in your solutions to them. In other words, it becomes all about you're defining them instead of defining you. And the problem, once again, is it becomes you're trying to use ego solutions to remedy the problem. And that's not going to remedy the problem. That's not where you should be coming from. Where you should be coming from is, I am lovable. I am good enough. I am astonishing. I'm amazing. I'm wonderful. I'm miraculous. I've, brushed your hair. I've rubbed your back. I've tickled your feet. I've made your stomach churn with my food. This is, part of how you should be feeling, and feeling good about yourself. Like, this is me, and not like, can you handle it? It's like, do you love it? Because then love is growing, and it's a fascination of relationships, because it's really a mystery. When love enters the game, love enters the equation, then you're really working with something. Then you're really sort of playing with fire. And the fire doesn't go out. You just kind of are always sort of connected. And it's not about, I just want to say the downward level, the downward spiral. It's not about what you can have on this earth with them. It becomes too clamoring with possessions or status or rungs on a ladder. And it's just like, I can't keep up with this. Like this, I can't have this. And, you have to allow yourself to be in coherence and being in cognitive with them. Because then if it's all about cognition and cognitive love, like we see in the psychopath, their emotions are very cognitive based. In other words, like, ha 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 ha, now would be a good time to laugh, versus like, that's really truly funny. Like, I can laugh and like really have a knee slapper. The narcissist, they'll have like a rehearsed laugh or a practice laugh, and it's like, or they'll laugh at it's just not even funny, and you're like, okay, but you're endearing with them. Because you find that you want, this love to be possible. You want it to be, you are always sort of focusing on the potential. So even though you've given yourself from them, you have to take yourself from them. And you have to repeat, as I've stated, All that I have is mine. All that I have is mine. And when you say that, you'll realize what you have drawn into your life. You'll realize, the gratitude of your possessions, your food, your water, the temperature, the sunlight, where you live. All that I have is mine. It gives you a sense of ownership when you state that, and you really get a sense of perspective. In other words, I have something. I have something and it's golden. I have something and it's glorious. I have something. I am someone and I have. And I'm easy to get along. I belong. And once you do that, you then see yourself from more of a belonging standpoint versus a separatist standpoint. The narcissist and their red flags will always be sort of hell-bent on separation. There's a different level that is a division, and it's like, me divided by my status equals me up and then you down, and you always feel like you're trailing behind. So please identify these red flags when they make you feel resourceless, like a loser, that you don't have anything. They're always bringing up something against you. This feeling is very heavy, and it's very hard to wage sort of that combativeness with them. And really, you need to be more relentless and look at life from the positive perspective rather than the negative that tends to pervade the narcissist who lacks empathy. It's a big red flag. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.